Hi, welcome to Yukon Speaks, a podcast that elevates Yukon's best. I'm your host, Brian Pillmore, and I'm joined here with Patrick McClung, remind me, Patrick?
Business owner
of Spraycan Creative. In each episode, we delve into the stories of the leaders, innovators, and visionaries that drive our city forward. Join us as we uncover how these remarkable individuals got their start, what they're passionate about today, and the challenges that they navigate as they shape the Yukon of tomorrow. Our conversations aim to highlight and elevate the best of Yukon, offering insights and inspiration from the heart of the community. Thanks so much for joining us, Patrick. I appreciate your time today.
Yeah, this is fun. I like this. I've always thought there needs to be something where we get to talk
about
the greatness of
you were telling me, well, I do want to get in the origin story of you, but you were also telling me that you had both a local broadcast as well as I would say, an early broadcast of local voices here.
Yeah, so we started a while back. I think it was, oh my gosh, I don't remember. Maybe 2010.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it was called yukonsbest.com. I still have the domain.
Yeah.
We're actually doing a really big project coming up with the chamber that's going to really leverage a lot of the power behind that domain.
Beautiful.
But we created, a buddy of mine that lives here, his name is Cody Hookstra, and he was a teacher at the middle school and now is at the Votech. And him and I in college had a TV show where we kind of just did random things around the community and interviewed different people.
Yeah.
And so when he moved to Yukon, I was like, bro, let's get the show going and we'll make it about Yukon. And we hired some of the high school kids to help out, and we had our interns for Spraycan helping out. We went around and interviewed some of the new restaurants and things that opened. We went to the park, the 4th of July event, and that was really fun. We shot a lot of video from that, and then there was a strawberry farm where you could go, like a
pick
blackberry
your own kind of thing.
So we went and did that. It was a lot of fun, and it just that, and then Spraycan, and then him taking on teaching and stuff.
It's a lot.
It was a lot, and so I'm really excited for you to get something going.
Absolutely,
I
appreciate the inspiration as well. So tell me, how did you get your start? Maybe take us back to the beginning. I'm sure before Spraycan. Tell us how you got your start.
Well, sure. So, I graduated from college with a degree in journalism, and we moved to Oklahoma City to be able to work in TV. There's not very many TV stations outside of, Oklahoma City and Tulsa, and we have some south. But so we moved here to be able to work in TV. I worked at Channel 52, which was an independent TV station.
Yeah.
And I had always had hopes and dreams of having a children's TV show in Oklahoma. Children's TV back in the day was like a really big, thing. It was much bigger then than it was now. I mean, Ho Ho the Clown came to my jump-a-thon when I was a kid, so that's kind of showing my age a little bit.
That's cool.
We had Count Gregor. We had, even before that, there was 3D Danny.
Yep.
And just a lot of really cool children's television stuff. And I thought being able to work at 52 would be a great opportunity to be able to do something like that, because we're not beholden to the corporate interests of large media like NBC, all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
So moved here for that, worked in TV, ended up hating it. Worked for the city for a little bit in Parks and Rec.
Excellent.
Which was super fun.
Great department.
Yeah, it was really good. And really enjoyed that a lot. Still have some really good friends from that time. Yeah. And ended up, my partner and I had been in media for a while. Her degree is in marketing, public relations. Mine's in broadcast and advertising, as well as computer. I'd always been real computer minded. That's how I actually got into it. I loved editing, and it's still my love of computers, all that sort of stuff. So we actually started Spraycan with a rented camera, and not rented, just borrowed from a friend, and we're able to just do some great work. And
it's amazing.
Here we are 12 years now, 12 years in business. Yeah.
I like how you describe Spraycan when we're at these chamber coffees and stuff. Tell that to the audience if they haven't come out to a chamber community coffee. When everybody's going around the circle, they're like, all right, I'm Patrick, and what?
So I got to preface it a little bit, though, because how do you, when you're just in a moment, I can't say, I want to say something that really sticks with people, so that either it's provocative so they can ask me more questions.
That gets back to that journalism and broadcasting.
Yeah, there you go, maybe. Yeah, but I can't say, how do I say, we're consulting for business to, it's just stupid to try and say it.
It gets clunky.
Right. So I just say, we're, hey, Patrick McClung with Spraycan Creative, we do artsy fartsy stuff. It was really just kind of a joke.
But it's authentic.
It is authentic,
And I'll tell you, it's sticky.
It's
because I remember it, and what do I think when I think of you? I think creative.
Creative, right? Yeah,
That's
and
that's the point.
When it used to always be my partner and I would go to those.
Yeah.
And so it was always the joke, well, who's the artsy and who's the fartsy? We really know the truth.
That's good.
Yeah, it's kind of a joke.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, artsy,
amazing.
fartsy. We do creative stuff for business.
Well,
Commercial art.
You've been so involved in the community, whether through the chamber, through your own broadcasting efforts, through being a business owner right here on Main Street.
Yeah.
What are you excited about? What's going on right now in the city?
Well, there's a lot going on, but I'm really excited for the growth. Yukon. What drew me to Yukon was the fact that it always felt like a small town, like where I'm from.
Absolutely.
But it had like big town ambition.
For sure.
And there's a lot of people who want Yukon to grow and to be the best it can be, and those are the sorts of things that I'm really excited for. Is like, how can we continue to help the new businesses that are here in town, the businesses that have been here for a while as they navigate kind of the new world.
Yep.
And so a lot of those things is what makes it fun to work here every day, is all the new challenges and new ways to navigate the business world. And I think Yukon as a city is kind of right there for that. So I'm really excited for the new business and then helping the old business as well.
I'm always impressed by the people in Yukon. They have such pride in the community.
Yeah.
And they want to, and they do a lot, because it's a very distinctive community, separated a bit from the broader metro due to, a few different factors. Call it, the lakes on the east side, the highway on the south side, the Canadian River floodplain to the north. It makes it very distinctive. So we're really only open to the west in some ways. But
that's a good point.
But geographically, right? And so it's grown up as a distinctive community, distinctive heritage with the Czech heritage, with the great founding families of our community. But I think it's stuck around in the sense that people like, where do I want to go to get creative services? Well, it's right here on Main Street. There's a design shop, a marketing group, and so on. And there's a print shop, and there's things that are right here, and people do business locally with a handshake.
Well, in a lot of our business, I mean, there's that, and then we get a lot of, because the nature of our business, we don't necessarily have to have a location, right?
For sure. Yeah.
Some of our clients aren't even close at all.
Yeah.
But I like the reason why I have the shop here compared to somewhere else is because, when we go out to eat, we're eating at a restaurant where we might have done something as simple as design their menu, but we know the owner, and so I'm putting money back into the companies that have hired me to help them grow.
Absolutely.
And so that's been a really great and fun thing. So there again, the nature of our business is like, it's not necessarily always people that are local.
Yeah.
But being in Yukon allows us to be kind of hyper local when we need to be, or when we can be. Yeah.
I love that. So there's obviously challenges for both businesses here and the community. Tell me about some of the challenges that you're facing and that you see the community facing.
Sure. So, let me think about this for a second. Some of the challenges that the community is facing and that
you as a business person here are challenged with. Yeah.
Sure. Okay. So, right now, one of the big issues that we kind of run into is, as businesses continue to grow, the importance of web, and a lot of times people don't really understand what goes into all of that. Or even into the design side of stuff as well. Is like, there's a lot of intentionality here. We do everything as hand drawn first. Yeah. And then, so if a business comes in for branding, it starts hand drawn. Yeah. We don't use any type of generative AI or any type of any of the logo building.
Yeah. You guys are real artists. Yeah. Real creativity.
We're all artists on staff, and so sometimes expressing the importance of that over just I'll just go online and
you have to sell that value.
Yeah, and so that's always kind of been a challenge because of the nature of Yukon being kind of that small community and small business, and it's like, well, so that's one of our kind of personal challenges there. I think the challenge of the community as a whole is kind of, how do we balance the small townness that makes Yukon great with the big townness that we're dipping our toes into. And I think that's actually a fun challenge to really look at, because we have great things like Freedom Fest, we have great things like the Christmas lights and all of those sorts of things, and those are things I don't want to ever let go of. But how can we also do that in a way to where it's bigger and better, and doing more and more, but still holding on to that small town vibe.
Yeah.
I think that's a fun challenge to really look at, like not just from an event wise, but with the growth of Main Street, and how can we continue to have Main Street and the interstate, I guess,
For sure. Yeah, I mean, it's really, I think back to the movie Cars.
Yeah,
right?
great
I mean,
example.
We're living in the midst of that, and I ask people often, like, when you're looking at Main Street and I-40 and wherever you happen to live in the city, I say, go from your house and tell me you take 10 trips from your house. Where do those 10 trips go towards? Do they go towards the interstate, or do they go towards Main Street? And most people say seven or eight of those trips head towards the interstate. Not always getting on the interstate, but they head in that direction. And 2 or 3 out of the 10 go towards Main Street. I firmly believe that Main Street is the heart and soul of Yukon.
Yeah.
It was the heart and soul of Yukon in 1926 when it was put in, and it should continue that way. And I think the future's bright here in Main Street.
We're seeing that. When I first moved here, a big night out on the town was you'd go into Oklahoma City.
Right.
That was
Right,
a date
right.
night. That's where a lot of people thought that. But now with places like the Local or Green Chili Kitchen, or the Flower Shop is another great example.
Beautiful.
And then even like Grady's. Grady's
Absolutely.
is getting
Huge concert venue.
huge concert. Yeah, I mean the people they pull into Grady's are insane.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And I'm always just like awestruck the fact that it's like, is there even any room in Grady's right now to go and watch that show? So those types of things, it's like you don't have to head towards the interstate anymore.
No, it's here.
And honestly, like if you do, you're missing out.
Yeah.
Because
you're
sucks.
missing out. Great.
It sucks to go.
And having lived in a lot of different places and being here in Yukon to stay, I always say I'm living in the house I'm going to die in. It's amazing what it's turned into. Just in the last 10 years, we have a real legit. Even the Flower Shop has great outdoor shows.
Yeah, I mean they got great outdoor space, and that I'm not. I'm not a wine drinker personally.
Yeah.
But I know, like from the reviews and everybody I know, like Christmas we use a lot of Flower Shop wine for family members that are out of state.
People say it's good.
Yeah, they love that.
It's great.
And the pizza's fantastic. So that's the thing. But what's really funny is like this is probably a big challenge that I didn't even think of. Is I was at the gym the other day, which is a locally owned gym, Vitality Mill.
Absolutely.
Awesome guy over there. His name is Seth. Runs that place. I've run it for a long time.
Yes.
But I overheard another person working out in the gym talking about this new restaurant they just went to called the Flower Shop.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the thing is the Flower Shop's been there for
Right.
for a little bit.
Yeah.
So that's the challenge, is like how do we get all of the new people that have moved into Yukon and that are part of that growth of Yukon, how do we get them to see all the great things that they maybe haven't stumbled upon when day one happened?
It's not just chicken restaurants at Garth Brooks, right?
Right.
There's some
exactly.
great stuff right here on Main Street or sprinkled throughout the neighborhoods, and they can enjoy that. Well, vision cast a little bit for me.
Okay.
Where 5-10 years from now, we've talked about the last 10 years. 5-10 years from now, what do you see here in Yukon?
So do you mean just like specific to Spraycan, or do you mean just
it could be
overall
your
in
own
general?
business, but overall, like the community. I know that you're very involved in the chamber, and you're seeing some of those things transpire and develop. And
well, we were Small Business of the Year for the chamber this year, which I'm super proud of. Shout out to
that's amazing.
Thanks for voting for us, chamber people. I don't really like to do like, oh hey, what's the big thing you're going to see, just because that tends to get us in trouble. I feel like a lot of times we try to cast out these big ideas and then when we miss them, it looks bad. So I don't want to actually put that out. But I do see kind of with the advancement of technology, I really like that Yukon, specifically to this core area here, and I'd go probably. I mean, actually, like all of even over like off of 10th Street, which I know technically isn't Yukon. There's some great new businesses over there.
Yeah.
And those people live in Yukon.
Oh yeah.
So I never want to hear, oh, don't shop over there, or anything like that, because that's still part of the community.
Yeah.
And their kids go to school with my kids.
And it drives more traffic. Like there are people that come to a shop there and go to a second shop in Yukon. So
right. Exactly.
I think we can see that in the trends in the last 5 years of the actual sales tax data. We can see that.
Oh, okay, perfect. So
it's really interesting.
So that's my thing there. What I'd really like to see is like a lot more embracing of some of the new things instead of like resisting any type of change. I want to see us really kind of embrace. There's a lot of really great tech and people doing tech in Yukon that you would never really know about.
Don't even know about.
We have a huge Southeast Asian population in Yukon,
Yep.
and I'd love to see opportunities and growth within that, because it's what's really interesting is that community feels like what I'd imagine the Czech community was when Yukon first started.
Yeah.
And so I would love to have some more support culturally for our Southeast Asian population here in Yukon.
That's great. Yeah.
And they're doing a lot of tech stuff as well.
Yeah.
So
and they're entrepreneurial and business focused.
Of course. And so I really want to see that's my hope for the next 10 years is that we can really embrace and be kind of. I want Yukon to move away from being the town that like holds on to like our culture and our history, and instead like let's use our culture and our history to help grow and embrace and build Yukon instead of being too selective on how it grows. I know at one point we had a guy that was looking at putting in they're called grenadiers. What is the name? Grenadier is what it is, and it's basically the remanufacturing of the old Land Rover Defenders.
Oh my!
And he was wanting to put in a dealership down here, and I don't know what happened to that. I was like, oh, that's a great.
Well, we had for a hot second we had the U.S. headquarters of a trike manufacturer. Down there in that building that the HVAC used to be.
Yeah, for
was it HVAC thing? Oh, Ravaco.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
Yeah, well, I
don't know what happened.
I know a little bit.
You know a little bit.
Yeah, there was some
a story for another day.
Yeah, that's let's move on past that. That was. But there again, like like you're saying, it's like there's these opportunities. There's people that are looking at Yukon, and how can we leverage that to be what's best for Yukon,
absolutely, instead
of trying to restrict anything that's happening in Yukon.
Yeah. We've got to leverage the things that are going on to keep our distinctiveness as a community.
Sure, absolutely,
and build on that. I think Yukon's always going to be a distinct community because of some of the geo, call it. Geography factors of where we sit.
Well,
and it's always going to be sort of the first town to the west of one of the two large metros in our state. So I think good things are ahead. Tell me, you've been involved with your church. Tell me about that. Describe that to me. Fill me in on that.
Sure. I was a youth pastor at Chisholm Trail Presbyterian Church. I went down to Austin, Texas, and went to seminary at Austin Presbyterian Theological Seminary. Came back to be the youth pastor at. So that was, we lived in Yukon, went to church there, went to Austin to get the education, came back to Yukon. I helped start the Good Fight Church, which is now in the old bowling alley.
Yes.
And they're doing great things over there, and that's one thing that I really see. I'm so thankful that I've gotten to be a part of so much of God's blessing in Yukon.
Yes.
And that's my prayer every day is that every step I take is something that glorifies God as well as allows God's light to shine a little bit brighter in a world full of darkness.
Yes.
So that's always my hope. That's always the action and the thoughts and everything I do intentionally has that behind it.
It's beautiful.
So it comes back to community, right? Like that's one of the great things about Yukon is we do have a diverse church base that if you can find a calling, you can find a church to be a part of, and that's really important. Finding membership and a family in a church that I'll tell you this: there's not anybody that believes everything that one church has, and if they say they do, well, you need to really evaluate that. But there's a church community for everybody here.
Absolutely.
And I like that.
Yes.
So I think that's
beautiful.
A pretty cool thing. Yeah.
That's great. Well, as we wrap up, tell our listeners how can they get in touch with Spraycan? How can they contact you? Because I'm sure there's a lot of folks that are going to want to reach out, learn more, maybe need some help with some of their creative needs.
Sure. Well, there's a couple of ways. So there's a couple of businesses that actually run out of Spraycan.
Yes.
We have SpraycanCreative.com. You can check us out there. We also have Fat Cap Esports Apparel, which is designed here. We manufacture in our factory in LA. But we manufacture esports jerseys for programs across the country, from Minnesota State University to Tulsa University locally, as well as Canute High School and Yukon High School even.
That's great.
And Red Bull. We did jerseys for Red Bull. that's why we have all the Red Bull in the back. And then we also just launched stankfighter.com.
Okay.
Which is it's air fresheners for gamers.
Oh my.
Yeah, so I'll make sure you
Those
get
got to
one
be
of these.
powerful.
Well,
man, I'll give it.
you can't be too powerful because I want to buy another one. I want you to keep buying.
Yeah,
but
that's great.
you know, they're just kind of fun designs that aren't just a Christmas tree that you can like hang off of your mic or your lights or whatever.
That's awesome.
And so yeah, check out stankfighter.com. That one's pretty fun.
Stankfighter.com. I love that. Well, hey, I appreciate you spending time with us today, Patrick.
Yeah,
again, everybody out there, join Patrick here on Main Street. You know, come on out.
Oh yeah, stay tuned to yukonsbest.com. That's going to be a big one for some of the new things that are happening.
And I've heard great things from Pam at the Yukon Chamber of Commerce about some of the designs. I won't give away anything, but some of the designs for next year's directory.
Yeah, it's going to be dope. I'm stoked. It's going to be really
I'm
cool.
pretty pumped to see it as well. Well, until then, please like, subscribe, comment, and join us again for another episode of Yukon Speaks. Thanks.